All right, get ready, because we're going deep into some legal stuff today with Chapter 18 of BNS 2023.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, offenses related to documents and property marks. Forgery, counterfeit seals,
That kind of thing, yeah.
the things that can get you in trouble.
Big trouble.
Ready to explore it all?
Absolutely.
This chapter really sets the stage for how trust works in our legal and business systems.
Yeah, for sure.
Imagine if anyone could just create a fake document.
Or just put a fake label on anything.
Oh, complete chaos.
Total chaos.
So let's start with something everyone's heard of.
Okay.
Forgery. What does the law actually say about it?
Well, Sections 335 to 340 of BNS 2023 lay it all out. It basically comes down to making or changing a document
Okay.
to trick someone. And it's not just about signatures either. It's about adding stuff, using someone else's seal, even backdating a document to,
Full fast one.
Yeah, exactly.
What stood out to me were the examples in the chapter,
Oh, yeah.
like adding a zero to a letter of credit. We'll talk about a sneaky way to inflate the amount.
Right. And it shows how forgery can have real consequences.
For sure.
Imagine you're the one who gets that letter of credit.
Yeah.
You could lose a lot of money. That's why the punishments for forgery can be pretty serious, especially if you're trying to cheat someone out of something valuable.
So let's say, hypothetically, of course,
Yeah.
I forge a check to buy a fancy new gadget
Okay.
versus forging my mom's signature on a permission slip for a school trip.
Gotcha.
Would those be treated the same way legally?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
The law looks at the reason behind it.
The intent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Forgery with the intent to cheat, like your check example,
Yeah.
that's a much bigger deal. Up to 7 years in prison and a fine.
Wow.
But basic forgery, like the permission slip thing, might be a lighter sentence, maybe up to 2 years, a fine, or both.
I see.
It really depends.
On the context.
Yeah, and how much harm could be caused.
Makes sense. What about those cases where someone forges a document using their own signature?
It sounds weird.
Right.
But even signing your own name can be forgery.
What?
If you're trying to mislead someone, the chapter actually has an example of this.
Oh, really?
Someone signs a bill of exchange with their own name,
Okay.
but they make it look like someone else with the same name signed it.
That's so tricky.
Yeah, it's all about deception.
Wow, it really shows how the law focuses on the act of deception, not whose name is on the paper.
For sure.
But are all forged documents treated the same under the law?
That's a good question.
Like a fake doctor's note versus a forged will?
You're getting at a key point.
Okay.
Sections 337 and 338 of BNS get into specifics about forging certain types of documents, and the penalties can get much tougher depending on what's being faked.
Interesting. So which documents carry the heaviest penalties?
Documents that are really important legally and could cause serious harm if forged.
Like what?
Court records, government IDs, birth and marriage certificates.
Oh, wow.
Forging those could get you up to 7 years in jail, plus a fine.
7 years?
Yeah, and then there's another level.
Okay.
Documents like valuable securities, wills, and anything authorizing financial transactions.
Gotcha.
Forging those can get you life in prison or up to 10 years behind bars, along with a big fine.
Life in prison.
Yeah, it's serious stuff.
Wow, those are some serious consequences.
Rightfully so.
I guess it makes sense considering how it could affect people's lives and their money.
Absolutely.
Now, what about electronic records?
Good point.
Is forging a digital signature the same as forging a handwritten one?
That's a great question. It shows you're thinking about how the law is keeping up with our digital world.
Well, everything's digital these days.
Exactly. And the law recognizes that forgery can happen online, too.
Okay.
Faking electronic signatures or messing with digital records definitely falls under these offenses.
So it's the same legal principles.
Yep. Whether it's pen and paper or digital.
That's wild.
Wow.
So what happens if you're caught with a forged document but haven't actually used it?
That's where sections 339 and 440 come in.
Oh, okay.
Just having a forged document with the intention of using it fraudulently is a crime.
Seriously?
Yeah. And the punishment depends on the document.
Interesting.
It mirrors the penalties for actually forging it.
So let's say I have a forged passport tucked away, dreaming of a life of international crime,
Oh.
but I haven't actually used it.
Even just having that document with the intent to use it,
Yeah.
that's enough to get you in trouble.
So the intention matters a lot.
It does.
We've covered forging and possessing forged documents. But what about the tools used to make them?
Oh, you mean like...
Counterfeit seals, plates, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Sections 341 and 342 deal with those instruments used for forging documents.
So it's not just about the fake document itself.
Nope. It's about stopping people from having the means to make them.
I see. So if they found a bunch of counterfeit government seals in my basement,
Uh-oh.
but I hadn't forged any documents yet.
Having those tools, especially if they're for making really serious forgeries, like those related to valuable securities or wills,
Okay.
that can get you in big trouble. The law sees it as you intending to commit forgery.
Even if I haven't used them.
Yep. It's about stopping crime before it happens, and it shows how seriously the law takes these offenses.
Forgery is not a victimless crime.
Right.
It can really hurt people, businesses, and society as a whole.
Exactly.
Okay, so far we've been in the world of documents.
Right.
But Chapter 18 also covers offenses related to property marks.
Yes, it does.
What are property marks? How are they different from documents?
Think of a property mark as a brand's DNA.
Okay.
It's that unique thing that tells you where something came from and who made it.
Oh, I see.
It could be a logo, a trademark, a special symbol, or even a serial number.
Like on a product.
Right. It's about ownership and authenticity.
So it's about protecting brands and making sure people aren't tricked by fakes.
Exactly. Like those knockoff designer bags you see sometimes.
Yeah, those. Section 345 defines a false property mark as any mark used to lie about ownership or origin.
Right.
So putting a Gucci logo on a bag you made at home,
Uh-oh.
that's a big no-no.
Definitely.
And I'm guessing that's just the beginning when it comes to property mark offenses.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot more to it.
This is where things get really interesting.
It does.
But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Okay.
let's take a quick break. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll be exploring the world of counterfeit goods and all the trouble they can cause.
Can't wait. Welcome back. We were talking about property marks before the break. Those little things that help us tell the real deal from a fake.
Right. I didn't realize how important they were legally until this deep dive. Those logos, trademarks, we see them everywhere.
You just don't think about it, do you?
No.
But they're so important for protecting both consumers and businesses.
Yeah, I guess so.
For consumers, it's about making sure you get what you paid for. Imagine buying a fancy watch,
Okay.
thinking it's a real Rolex,
Yeah.
but it turns out to be a fake.
Oh, no. What a waste.
Right. Not just disappointing, but a waste of money.
And for businesses.
It's about protecting their brand and all their hard work.
Yeah, their reputation.
Exactly. Counterfeit goods can really hurt a company's image.
And their profits.
Absolutely. It's like someone stealing your ideas and making money off of them.
Without any consequences.
Right. That's why the law comes down hard on this stuff.
So, property marks are important, but what exactly is illegal when it comes to them?
Well, the most obvious is using a false property mark. Section 345 covers that.
Okay.
If you're purposely marking something to make it look like someone else made it,
You're in trouble.
yeah, you're breaking the law.
So, like, if I made some candles at home
Okay.
and I made a fancy label that looks a lot like a popular brand.
Tricky. It depends. If you're trying to pass them off as the real deal.
To trick people.
Yeah, then you could be in legal trouble. But if it's just a coincidence,
And I'm not trying to fool anyone.
you might be okay.
So intent is key.
Just like with forgery.
What if I didn't make the fake mark myself?
Okay.
Say I find a cheap designer bag at a flea market
All right.
and I resell it online for a profit. Am I still responsible, even though I didn't make the fake logo?
That's a tough one. The law doesn't let you off that easy, even if you didn't personally make it.
Yeah.
If you use or sell it, you're still part of the problem.
So saying I didn't know doesn't work.
Not really. You have to do your research.
Make sure it's authentic.
Exactly. Especially if a deal seems too good to be true.
It probably is. Buyer beware.
Right.
What about if someone doesn't create a fake mark, but they mess with a real one?
Oh, like tampering with it?
Yeah.
That's section 346. It's about removing, destroying, defacing, or changing a property mark.
To cause harm.
Yeah, with bad intentions.
So if I scratched off the serial number on my laptop to make it harder to trace if it's stolen.
That's breaking the law. Messing with those identifiers makes it easier for stolen stuff to disappear.
I see.
And it's not just about theft.
What else?
Changing labels, especially on things like food or medicine.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, it can be dangerous.
So it's not just about brands anymore.
It's about public safety, too. Those marks are there for a reason.
They tell us important information.
About the product, where it came from, is it safe?
Messing with them can have serious consequences.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about using fake marks and changing real ones.
Right.
What about actually making those counterfeit marks? Is that a separate offense?
Definitely. Section 347 deals with that.
Counterfeiting property marks.
Yes. And it makes a difference if you're counterfeiting marks used by regular people
Okay.
or those used by public servants.
Like a government seal.
Exactly. Counterfeiting official marks is a much bigger deal.
Because it affects the government.
It's an attack on public trust. It can cause a lot of confusion, make people lose faith in institutions.
A lot more serious.
Much more serious. Counterfeiting those official marks can have huge consequences for everyone.
So forging a Nike logo is different from forging a government seal.
Big difference.
Okay, I get it. We've covered creating, using, and messing with property marks. What about having the tools to make those fake marks?
That's covered in Section 348.
Okay.
It's illegal to have any tools specifically for counterfeiting property marks.
Like what kind of tools?
Dyes, molds, special printing plates.
Stuff they use to make fake logos.
Exactly.
So if I had a drawer full of tools for making counterfeit designer labels, but I haven't actually made any fake goods yet.
Just having those tools can be seen as evidence that you're planning to do something illegal.
Intent again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's enough to get you in trouble.
So they're trying to stop counterfeiting before it even happens.
By making sure people don't even have the means to make those fake marks.
Makes sense. It's about protecting everyone.
Consumers and businesses.
And tackling the problem from all sides. Speaking of tackling the problem,
Yeah.
what about selling things with those fake marks on them?
You mean like selling knockoff goods?
Yeah. Is that a separate offense?
It is. Section 349 is all about that.
Selling or even possessing those goods with the intent to sell.
Right. It doesn't matter if you say you didn't know they were fake.
It's the seller's responsibility.
It is. You have to make sure what you're selling is authentic.
So those people selling designer bags on the street for really cheap.
They're taking a big risk.
Breaking the law.
Yep. And it's not just street vendors. Anyone selling fakes online or in a store is in trouble.
So buyer beware and seller beware.
Absolutely.
What about those cases where it's not a brand logo, but it's about the information on the packaging being misleading?
You mean like...
Like a box that says it has organic eggs, but it actually has regular eggs.
Yeah. That's another aspect of property mark offenses.
Misleading packaging.
Section 350 deals with that specifically.
Making false marks on packages to trick people about what's inside.
Exactly.
So it's not just about protecting brand names.
It's also about preventing consumers from being tricked.
By false advertising.
Right. Those marks and labels are supposed to give you accurate information.
So you can make informed choices.
Yeah. Tampering with that information is a big deal, especially for things like food and medicine.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
It's a lot more than just fake bags and labels.
Right.
It's about protecting everyone.
And making sure the marketplace is fair.
And safe.
This chapter is really thorough.
It covers a lot, from using fake marks to messing with packaging. It shows how seriously the law takes these offenses.
Definitely. Well, we've covered a lot here.
We have.
From the details of forgery to the importance of property marks. It's clear that the law is trying to keep up with all the changes.
Absolutely.
Especially with technology and new ways to counterfeit.
Yeah.
But do you think technology could also be part of the solution?
Oh, definitely. I think technology can definitely be part of the solution.
It can be used for good and bad.
Exactly. It can be used to create more security, to make it harder for criminals to get away with this stuff.
Like digital signatures and blockchain technology, right?
Exactly. And as technology gets better, we'll see even more new solutions.
What kind of solutions?
Well, imagine AI systems that can spot fakes really easily.
Oh, wow.
Or biometric authentication that's almost impossible to fake.
Like using fingerprints or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Cool.
It's like a race between the people who want to use technology for illegal stuff
Yeah.
and the people trying to make the digital world safer.
It's a battle.
It is. And that's why it's so important to stay informed and keep learning. We need to stay ahead of the game.
To protect ourselves.
Exactly, to protect ourselves and our businesses, to build a more trustworthy digital world.
Well said. Okay, folks, that wraps up part 2 of our exploration of Chapter 18 of BNS 2023. Stay tuned for the final part where we'll bring it all together and look at how these offenses might change in the future. Welcome back. We've been exploring Chapter 18 of BNS 2023.
All about forgery and property mark offenses.
Yeah, it's amazing how much this chapter covers.
It's really thorough.
It's made me realize these offenses are about more than just tricking people.
Right.
They really affect how much we trust each other in society.
You got it. These laws aren't just about punishing people. They're about making a system where people can trust documents, products, the whole marketplace.
It's like these laws are what hold our society together.
Your foundation, yeah.
Without them, it would be so easy to take advantage of each other.
For businesses to cheat, for fake goods to be everywhere.
Total chaos.
Exactly. Imagine not knowing if a contract was real or if a product was genuine.
It would be impossible to trust anything.
But it would be a mess.
So as we wrap up, what are the key things our listeners should remember about this chapter?
For me, the most important thing is intent.
Okay.
The whole chapter shows how the punishment depends on the reason behind the act.
So forging a document or messing with a property mark.
It all comes down to whether you meant to deceive someone.
To do something bad.
Yeah, to gain something unfairly.
And that's what determines the consequence.
Exactly.
So awareness is key. We need to know these laws so we don't accidentally break them.
Absolutely. You have to know the rules of the game.
But it's not just about staying out of trouble.
Right.
It's about being responsible and ethical.
Being a good citizen.
We have to make sure our actions don't make these problems worse.
It's a team effort.
We talked about technology creating new challenges in this area.
Yeah, like digital forgery.
And new ways to counterfeit stuff.
It's getting more sophisticated.
But do you think technology could also be part of the solution?
Oh, for sure. Technology can be used for good. To create better security measures. Okay.
To make it harder for criminals to get away with this stuff.
Like we were talking about before.
Yeah, digital signatures, blockchain. And as technology keeps developing, we'll see even more new solutions.
That's exciting.
Imagine AI that can spot fakes easily.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Or biometric authentication that's almost impossible to fake.
Really secure stuff.
It's a constant back and forth.
Between the good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah. The people who want to use technology for illegal stuff.
Yeah.
And the people trying to protect everyone.
A digital arms race.
It is. And that's why we have to stay informed, keep learning.
To stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. We need to be proactive, invest in security, work together to protect our systems.
Well said. It's time to wrap up our deep dive into Chapter 18 of BNS 2023.
We've covered a lot.
We talked about forgery, property marks, and the challenges of the digital world.
It's been a fascinating journey. I hope our listeners learned something new. Me too. Knowledge is power, folks. The more we understand these laws, the better we can navigate the world.
And make good choices.
Choices that are ethical and protect everyone's rights. Until next time, stay safe and stay informed.